Chosen ones, listen closely. They believe they could play you, that they could toy with someone set apart by a greater force. You have felt the sting of betrayal, the ache of deception, the way their laughter echoed in your wounds. You wondered if your kindness was weakness, if your faith was folly. Yet tonight, hidden truths begin to surface, truths that confirm you were never naive, only misjudged. As the universe recalibrates what was stolen, you will witness the engineered collapse of every lie they built on your back. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Prepare yourself, for every tear you shed now becomes a brick in the wall that will shield and vindicate you. Karma's clock has struck. They have always believed that generosity was your weakness, that kindness was a currency they could spend and never repay. You felt the weight of that truth each time your open hand was met with a closed fist in return. Late at night, you replay the faces of those who smiled in your presence, only to plot behind your back. You've wondered if your spirit would bend under the burden of betrayal, or if you crumble beneath the weight of their schemes. You are not alone in that struggle. Many have felt the sting of having their goodwill weaponized against them. Tonight, we dive into the moment when the unseen ledger of the universe comes due, revealing how every act against you carries a price that cannot be evaded. Hidden within every delayed justice is a pulse of divine timing, and soon you will see the first vibrations of its mighty return. They thought that the passage of days, weeks, or years would bury their misdeeds in dust, that time would heal you but conceal them. They banked on the hope that memory is fleeting, that grudges evaporate like mist in the sun. Yet in the quiet moments of your search for meaning, you've carried the ache of unresolved justice. You've seen the anger of disappointment flare and die, only to leave a hollow echo of unresolved questions. Why did they harm me? Who bears the cost of their betrayal? You've stood at crossroads, torn between the call to forgive and the cry for accountability. It has been a deeply personal war within your soul, between mercy and truth, between letting go and demanding restoration. The cost of that inner conflict has been high. Each sleepless night a reminder that their debt remains unpaid. But the universe does not overlook a single ledger entry, and the scales of balance do not wobble forever without righting themselves. Then came the turning point when you realized that your suffering was never simply a lamentable chapter in your story, but an essential act in a grander play of justice. In the lesser-known scroll of Zechariah, you found these words: "Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord of hosts." Zechariah 4 verse 6. It struck you that no human contrivance, no legal maneuver, no amount of earthly influence could enforce the righting of wrongs. Instead, it will be the wind of divine purpose that blew through the crooked corridors of deceit, dismantling every false foundation. What they built through manipulation was destined to be carried away in the breath of heaven. This revelation lifted a weight from your shoulders. Restitution did not depend on you, but on a power far greater, one that ticks according to a clock no one can rewind or hasten. As this truth became alive in your heart, the first tremors of transformation began to ripple outward. You noticed that conversations once productive now turned brittle, as if unseen cracks undermined every alliance. You observed that resources they once controlled slipped through their grasp. Sudden freezes in accounts, unexpected audits, unaccountable failures in their grand designs. In your own life, doors opened, opportunities you had long prayed for, filled with people who honored your integrity rather than exploit your openness. These shifts felt like the slow turn of colossal gear, each click audible to anyone who listened. The same hands that orchestrated your downfall found themselves unable to steer their own course, as though the river of justice reshaped the landscape behind them. You stood witness to a divine choreography, where every note they struck in malice harmonized with a counterpoint of restitution. Behind the scenes, divine intervention was at work, aligning events and people in unseen patterns to produce the justice that human courts could not enforce. Your struggles, once perceived as isolated torments, now revealed themselves as part of a sacred blueprint to showcase the fall of the arrogant. In the minor prophecy of Joel you read, "I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten," Joel 2 verse 25, and you felt a promise echo through the corridors of time. Your years of loss, of stolen joy and violated trust would be repaid not by empty apologies but by tangible restoration. Synchronicities unfolded. Chance meetings with mentors who equipped you for new heights, unexpected gifts that filled every gap they created, and fresh beginnings that no human hand could script. It became undeniable. Your calling was not a solitary whisper, but a clarion voice orchestrating cosmic realignment. In this fertile space of emerging justice, you stand at a sacred threshold. The signs of restoration are clear, yet the final step demands that you embrace the unfolding reality. Many resist this moment, believing that to accept divine justice is to relinquish their own agency, to cede the battlefield of forgiveness. They cling to bitterness, fearing that letting go of resentment means they let the wrongdoers off the hook. But true alignment requires more than watching from the sidelines. It demands immersion in the flow of restoration. This is your invitation to step fully into the wave of cosmic justice, to release every vestige of doubt and stand in the confirmation that the universe does not overlook a single ledger balance. Empowerment ignites when you make that choice. With every inhalation, draw in the assurance that justice belongs to you. With every exhalation, release every fragment of lingering bitterness. Speak declarations of freedom over your life. I walk in restored blessing. Every debt against me is paid. My faith stands unshaken by their downfall. Build daily practices that anchor your spirit in this truth. Moments of gratitude for each victory, reflections on how far you've traveled, and acts of service that extend your restored power to those still in need. You become a living testimony to every soul who wonders if justice will ever come. Yes, it will in its appointed time, and you will stand as proof. Tonight, you stand on the cusp of witnessing the full echo of karma's toll. The gears of cosmic justice have struck, and their chime resonates through every broken chain and fractured lie. Your wounds are healing not by chance, but by the precise choreography of divine purpose. Comment karma if you recognize the ticking of the clock in your own story. Let this declaration become your anthem. You will no longer wait in the shadows of betrayal, but walk in the restored light of justice fulfilled. The universe has spoken, its clock has struck, and your redemption awaits. And a heartfelt thanks to our current members who stand unwavering in this mission. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community. A private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. Innocence was their shield. They have thrived in your light, basking in the warmth of your trust while plotting your undoing. Convinced that your kindness was a permanent shield they could never penetrate. You have felt the sting of that betrayal, the shock when the very hands you reached out to for comfort turned against you. You know the ache of seeing your open heart treated like an invitation to exploit, and wonder if your faith in goodness was misplaced. You have carried the weight of confusion. How could the people you believed in use your gentle spirit as a fortress for their own schemes? You are not alone in this struggle. Countless chosen ones have discovered that what they once thought was their greatest strength became the Achilles heel others counted on. But tonight, you will uncover the truth behind that illusion. Your innocence was never a weakness, but a force they underestimated at their peril. They have felt the thrill of taking from you what they coveted, your generosity, your vulnerability, your willingness to forgive. They collected your compassion like currency, spending it freely while hoarding the gains in their secret accounts of resentment and power. In private, they celebrated each moment you chose mercy over retaliation, convinced your gentle spirit would never strike back. You remember the late nights you spent replaying their deeds in your mind, questioning whether mercy meant submission and whether kindness could survive in a world of predators. You have tasted the bitterness of watching them grow stronger on your sacrifice, your own spirit dimming as you try to shield everyone involved from confrontation. The emotional toll weighed heavily. Sorrow for what you'd given, anger at being deceived, and the gnawing doubt that perhaps your innocence was foolishness masquerading as virtue. Then came the turning point, the moment when their reliance on your forgiveness became their exposure. You stumbled upon the understated promise in the scroll of Habakkuk. Your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You cannot tolerate wrongdoing. Habakkuk 1 verse 13. In that verse, you recognize that your innocence did not blind you to betrayal, but gave you advantage to perceive injustice that others could not see. Your gentle spirit was not a sign of weakness, but a clarity of vision, able to distinguish truth from deception. This realization reshaped your understanding. Every act of mercy you extended was part of a divine strategy, illuminating rotten roots beneath seemingly beautiful facades. What they counted on as a shield for their endeavors became the light, exposing their hidden corruption. As the truth took hold, signs of their unraveling began to appear in your life and around you. No longer could they rely on your forgiveness to protect them. Every misdeed reflected back in the mirrors you once polished became impossible to deny. In conversations, their words faltered, revealing cracks in the foundation of their lies. In their actions, they stumbled over opportunities they once navigated seamlessly, as if the comfort of your consent had been removed and left them off balance. You noticed that alliances they built on your reputation dissolved now that your presence was withdrawn. Friends who once followed their lead questioned their motives and walked away. Your innocence, once their shield, had become a blade unveiling the facades they thought would stand forever. Behind the scenes, you sense a hand of divine orchestration aligning circumstances to strip them of their supposed immunity. Their safety nets, relationships, resources, reputations, began to vanish in synchronicity with their own missteps. In the overlooked prophecy of Zechariah, they found a chilling affirmation. The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this temple. His hands shall also finish it, Zechariah 4 verse 9. They realized too late that your hands, once extended in peace, were entrusted with a mission to dismantle every false structure built on your trust. Every door they slammed in your face, every alliance they forged in your name, now closed and barred against them. You watched as foundations they thought secure sank into ground, undone by the power they never respected. At this pivotal junction, you understand that the revelation of their collapse demands more than observation. It requires embodiment of the truth that set you free. Many struggle here, tempted to return to the old cycle of forgiveness without boundaries, believing that mercy demands perpetual protection of the wrongdoer. They hesitate, fearing that exposing guilt means losing compassion. Yet true alignment with divine justice calls for a balance between grace and accountability. This is a sacred moment where you must choose to fully embrace the role your innocence has played, wielding it not as a shield for other sins, but as a beacon that demands integrity and truth. Empowerment surges when you claim that role without apology. You lift your gaze from past wounds and speak confidently. My innocence is not silence. It is a call for integrity. My kindness is not weakness. It is a light that exposes what lurks in shadows. With each deliberate step, you enforce healthy boundaries, refusing to enable deception. You cultivate practices that honor both your compassion and your discernment, journaling the lessons learned, consecrating time to reflect on justice and mercy, and sharing your story with others who have been similarly silenced. You stand as both angel and avenger, whose presence demands that kindness not be mistaken for consent to wrongdoing. Tonight, you stand unshielded no more. The mask of their reliance on your forgiveness has fallen, revealing the emptiness beneath. Your innocence was never their fortress. It was their undoing. Comment shield of your kindness once protected you, and now empowers you to dismantle every unjust structure built on it. Let this declaration mark your transition from passive healing to active restoration. The world awaits your next move, one rooted in mercy, guided by truth and fueled by the divine power that turns shields into swords, forging justice from the grace you once bestowed. And to every soul who supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters. Your belief matters. And your light is felt here. The weight of guilt is inescapable. They live with shadows on their heart, waking to the weight of unspoken wrongs that press down on their chest the moment the world grows quiet. You know this feeling, the way guilt curls in the pit of your stomach, a cold companion that no amount of justification can banish. You may have tried to sleep, only to find a pillow soaked with unspoken regret, your mind replaying every misdeed like a broken record. You are not alone in this. The burden of conscience is a universal cross, carried by every soul who has ever strayed from the path of integrity. Tonight, we shine a light on the relentless nature of guilt, exploring how it shapes destinies and why it cannot be silenced by mere apologies. Hidden within its echo lies the key to deeper healing and a revelation that will alter how you perceive justice itself. They believe that a crafted narrative, a well-timed excuse, or a face-saving apology would quell their inner turmoil. They whisper half-truths and rearrange events to suit their defense, confident that time wore all scars smooth. Yet every attempt to bury the past only allowed it to fester beneath the surface. In quiet moments, they recoil from their reflection, recognizing in their own eyes the shadow of someone they hardly knew, someone capable of pain they had once inflicted. There have been days when they wandered streets in a fog of self-recrimination, convinced that forgiveness was a mirage, and nights when they wept for a conscience they could not silence. The emotional toll has been monumental. Sleepless nights, flinched apologies, and a gnawing question that no excuse could answer. How could I betray the trust placed in me? Then came a moment of clarity that reframed their agony as part of a larger design. In the lesser-known prophecy of Nahum, they stumbled upon a revelation. The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. Nahum 1 verse 7. In those words, they saw a promise that guilt, though heavy, pointed them toward a refuge that transcended human judgment. Their suffering was not a random punishment, but an invitation to seek restoration in a power beyond themselves. This turning point shifted their focus from frantically patching their reputation to humbly laying bare their conscience before a divine healer. What felt like a prison became the first step toward a sanctuary of grace. As they embraced this truth, subtle shift began to ripple through their inner world. They noticed moments of unexpected calm during prayer or meditation, as if a gentle hand eased the burden from their spirit. They experienced clarity in decisions where guilt once clouded their judgment, choosing honesty in relationships, restitution in business, and humility in leadership. Even their dreams changed. Where nightmares of past betrayals once haunted them, they now encountered vivid visions of renewal and purpose. It was as though the very anchors of guilt were being loosened, replaced by current of hope carrying them toward redemption. These were not random coincidences, but markers of divine timing, aligning circumstances to guide them from despair to deliverance. Behind the scenes, they sensed forces at work that transcended human effort. Their past failures, once seen as irreversible stains, were actually elements in a sacred tapestry of transformation. In the underappreciated prophecy of Zephaniah, they found, "He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing." Zephaniah 3 verse 17. They realized their deepest wounds invited divine celebration, converting sorrow into a song of restoration. Synchronicities unfolded. Resources for restitution appeared. Apologies were received with unexpected compassion, and opportunities for service emerged that turned regret into impact. It became undeniable that their journey through guilt was not an endpoint, but a gateway to an elevated purpose. Now they stand at the threshold of full liberation, recognizing that transformation has begun, but understanding that it demands more than passive participation. Many resist this stage, fearful that letting go of guilt means ignoring past wrongs or diminishing responsibility. They cling to their shame as proof of seriousness, afraid that releasing guilt will unleash careless impulses. Yet true alignment with divine healing calls for a radical choice, to see guilt not as an eternal sentence, but as a temporary guide. This is a sacred moment where hesitation can prolong suffering, but courage can open the door to a life unbound by the echoes of yesterday's mistakes. Empowerment surges when they embrace this call. With steady breath, they voice a declaration of new identity. I am a vessel of grace, not defined by my guilt, but refined by it. They integrate daily practices that solidify their transformation. Confession that clears the air of hidden sin, restitution that rebuilds broken trust, and service that turns past wounds into wells of compassion. They surround themselves with witnesses of their journey, mentors, friends, and community members who hold them accountable yet celebrate each step of healing. Every act of faith strengthens their resolve, weaving a life trajectory that converts guilt's weight into the wings of purpose. Tonight, they stand ready to walk forward with a clear conscience and renewed heart. The chains of guilt have been shattered by a power greater than regret, and each step they take echoes the promise of restoration. Comment freedom if you feel the liberation that comes from embracing true healing. This is not the end of your story, but the beginning of an era where guilt no longer defines you, but refines you into a beacon of grace for all who still find themselves imprisoned by their past. Your power was a key, They had watched as you slipped away into the quiet. Convinced that your departure was your defeat, they whispered that your absence meant they had won, that you were broken and no longer sharp enough to cut through their deception. Yet their greatest fear was never that you would walk away, but that you would awaken. You know the moment when the world seemed to shift beneath your feet, when the fog in your mind cleared and you recognized the power that slept inside you. You have felt that surge of clarity, that thrum of purpose that tells you you were made for more. You are not alone in this dawning. Many chosen ones have felt the tremor of their own awakening echo through the walls of a world built to exclude them. Tonight, we reveal why your awakening was their undoing, why the very power they tried to suppress has become the key to their collapse. They spent years molding narratives that kept you small, stories about your limitations, doubts cast upon your dreams, reassurances that you needed their permission to step into significance. You remember the sting of each insult wrapped as concern, the times they offered you half-truths meant to tether your spirit. In moments of quiet, you wrestled with confusion. Was your rising confidence arrogance, or was it the whisper of destiny growing louder? They celebrated every step you didn't take, every opportunity you hesitated to seize. The weight of their expectations became a yoke, bending your shoulders until you wondered if you were truly capable of breaking free. They saw only the quiet figure you presented, never imagining that beneath that calm surface lay the force destined to shake their foundations. Then came the turning point, the moment when you read in the obscure prophecy of Joel a command that resonated like a battle cry. Blow the trumpet in Zion, let all who live in the land tremble. Joel 2 verse 1. Suddenly, you realized that your voice was not simply a sound, but a divine instrument designed to topple empires built on lies. Your awakening was ordained, not accidental. Every moment of silence before this had been a breathing space where faith and courage grew side by side. You saw your past struggles not as random missteps, but as calibration, tuning your heart to the frequency of revelation. In that moment, you understood that your rising would not merely disrupt their plans. It would redefine the rules of engagement. As you embraced this revelation, you began to notice the first tremors of their unease. Conversations once cordial turned tense when you spoke truths they could not dismiss. Invitations evaporated the moment your eyes kindled with conviction. What if every painful attachment you've endured was an intentional step in a divine process, designed to teach you the power of sacred distance? In Isaiah 30 verse 15, we find a voice echoing through the ages. In repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust is your strength. At first glance, that seems to speak of inner peace, but it also reveals a principle of strategic withdrawal. There comes a time to repent of old habits that entangle you, to rest from the endless battles of the heart, and to trust that stepping back can yield more profound forward movement. Their isolation from toxic dynamics is not punishment, but preparation for a more focused, potent form of engagement. This turning point reframes detachment as a spiritual practice rather than a coping mechanism. Even now, signs of transformation are emerging in their life like new shoots pushing through hardened earth. They notice that when conflict arises, their first instinct is no longer to react but to breathe and observe, creating a space where clarity can flourish. Conversations that once spiraled into chaos now pass with calm nods or graceful exits, leaving their composure intact. Opportunities that used to slip through their fingers now materialize when they refuse to be drawn into side dramas, as if the universe rewards their clarity with synchronicities. In daily moments, holding a cool cup of tea, watching the sunset in silence, they feel a quietness settling over their spirit, a mirror reflecting the stillness within. These shifts are proof that divine timing is weaving every thread of their restraint into a tapestry of empowerment. Behind the scenes, unseen forces are honoring their choice to step away from conflict, opening doors that remain closed to those still entangled in emotional warfare. They may find that a toxic friendship simply drifts apart without rancor, or that a long-standing tension resolves itself the moment they refuse to engage. A new ally might enter their life exactly when they stop chasing validation, or a fleeting thought of doubt dissolves under the weight of newfound confidence. These synchronicities are not accidents, but divine interventions demonstrating that their detachment is a signal to the cosmos. They are ready for elevation. Faith and manifestation entwine here, each decision to hold back echoing outward to realign circumstances in their favor. Their calling grows clearer as the world reshapes around their unshakable boundary. Yet awareness of these interventions means little if they do not fully accept the role of detachment in their growth. Many hesitate at the thought of distancing themselves, fearing they will appear cold or unloving, worried that they will forfeit connection for the illusion of strength. They cling to the hope that confrontation alone will heal wounds, unaware that some battles are best fought with silence. But this is the sacred moment of deepening awareness, recognizing that true alignment demands embracing the stillness even when the world demands noise. Only by making peace with the unknown, including the possibility of losing certain relationships, can they step into the full measure of their power. This choice is not rejection, but a baptism into a higher calling, where detachment becomes the foundation of their influence. Now that they see the signs and sense the alignment of forces around their resolve, it is time to embody this truth with confidence. They can begin each day by affirming, "I am more than my reactions," and follow with a moment of quiet reflection to center their mind. They can set gentle boundaries in conversations, speaking only when words serve their purpose, and learn to view invitations to drama as invitations to strength. Incorporating small rituals, like a brief walk in solitude, journaling the emotions they release, or meditating on trusting the process, will fortify their commitment. They can seek out kindred spirits who respect their space, creating a circle where detachment is honored as a sacred art. These steps will transform detachment from a defense mechanism into a deliberate strategy for living in power and peace. Remember this truth as you step forward. Detachment is not abandoning your humanity, but elevating your purpose. Your calm is a blade sharper than any conflict. Your boundary is a shield that protects your destiny. In every moment you choose stillness over reaction, you reclaim the energy that belongs to your mission. Your invulnerability to drama becomes a testament to your sovereignty, a living proof that you were born to stand apart and rise above. Let detachment be your chosen weapon in this season, carving a path to your highest calling with every silent choice you make. Comment free if this resonates with you. Frequency maintenance. They feel the pull of heavy atmospheres around them, as if every conversation and every glance carries a weight they were never meant to bear. In the quiet moments between tasks, they sense a low hum of tension humming beneath the surface of their day, draining energy the moment they step into crowded spaces or scroll through endless headlines. You may recognize that ache in your bones when you brush past someone's bad mood and suddenly feel it seep into your own spirit, or the way a single negative comment can shadow your entire mood for hours. It's easy to believe these waves of low vibration are inevitable, that the world's turbulence will always leave its mark on you. Yet there is a deeper truth waiting to be uncovered. You have the power to tune your inner frequencies so high that negativity simply cannot find a foothold. This theme of maintaining a lofty vibration matters more now than ever, because it holds the key to turning the daily currents of life into a symphony of abundance and peace. Stay with me as we explore how to claim this truth and never look back. They have faced days when their enthusiasm flickered like a candle in the wind, snuffed out by one too many moments of criticism or doubt. You may remember waking up with a plan to conquer your goals only to find yourself sinking under the weight of other people's worries, or replaying an unkind remark long after the speaker moved on. Those moments sting not only because they expose raw nerves, but because they trap you in cycles of second-guessing and worry that feel impossible to break. They weigh on your spirit like stones in a backpack, each one a fragment of disappointment, envy, or frustration that you carry into every new encounter. When your own vibration dips, your vision blurs, your creative spark dims, and your confidence falters. In that space, purpose feels distant and true north seems obscured. What if every encounter with negativity was actually a signpost guiding you toward the necessity of a higher inner tone? They believe your kindness would bind you, but your awakening has freed you, and now they face the consequences. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment, "I am chosen," to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all our supporting members for standing firm in this tide of justice. 4 full prophetic revelations daily. Join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. Remember, when they underestimated your spirit, they set themselves on a path to their own undoing. Watch as divine justice closes a loop,